Welcome back, everyone. I am CrainCraft, and this is a recap of the Fun Pimps dev stream number 4 for 7 Days to Die. Alpha 19 is just around the corner, and TFP are doing dev streams on Twitch with tons of content and information. These are 2 to 3 hour long streams, and what I'm attempting to do is just compact these down into more digestible chunks so that you don't have to spend 2.5 to 3 hours listening to it. Before we get started, give the video a like and subscribe if you end up liking the content. Also, I stream survival games and sometimes PC builds and other things on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, a few quick disclaimers before we get started. 1. 7 Days to Die is in alpha, so any of this is subject to change. 2. Should be obvious, but spoiler alerts for A19. 3. Because these are 2+ hour streams, I'm going to hit the major highlights, not cover every single question or point. So if you need or want that, then watch the full stream VOD or on YouTube if you want to know all the juicy details. Links are down below. So dev stream 4 was just Latham and Mad Mole, but there was a metric crap ton of stuff in this dev stream. It took me another 2 hours just to go through it in detail today and make my notes. With so much to cover, this recap is going to be dense and fast. There's a chapter index in the description, and remember, you can pause the video. If I pause, it's just dead air. And you might have to pause for all this. A lot has changed. Let's talk about slower progression first. Rather than paraphrase, Mad Mole sums it up quite nicely, so let me let him talk.
We've kind of added Stone Age or Primitive Age to the game now. So when you first start out, you know, you're not going to find any high quality firearms for a while. You're going to be, you know, finding blunderbusses, bows and arrows, crossbows, kind of more primitive stuff, and, you know, low quality for the first, you know, it depends how fast you level, and, but, you know, there's actually a Stone Age.
Many of the changes in A19 are deep, core mechanic changes, and this is a great first example. No deeper information on the underlying mechanics of this, so we'll just have to see how it plays out in game, and that's all I'm going to say for now. The next item on the surgical table is a core mechanic change that redefines the entire combat game loop, the ISS, or Integrated Survival System. It touches health, recovery, food, stamina, buffs, negative conditions, everything. So let's do this in sections. Combat's a good place to start, and more specifically, how you recover from it. TFP felt that combat/healing became this loop of taking damage and then spamming bandages or first aid kits, and they wanted something more. And when there were conditions like your max health dropping, it wasn't clear always to new players why the condition, if they even had one, or how to get rid of it. This theme of simplifying and clarifying will continue, as you'll see. Let's start with criticals. Every time you're injured, there's a chance for you to receive a critical hit that bestows a negative condition on you. A zombie might give you a concussion, or you might receive a laceration, for example, that would make you bleed. This negative effect is shown on the HUD, and going to the character screen, it tells you the exact effect, how to address it, and how long it will last. Criticals drop your max health, some more than others. I think he said 25 is the max that one critical can take, although they can stack. Now, treatment is mandatory for quick recovery, and it's kind of expected. Effects are long, and multiple injuries of the same type can stack. For example, you could receive multiple abrasions in the same fight, and the condition gets worse to reflect how beat up you're getting in the fight. This means you may have to make hard choices in POIs. As your max health drops, if you're getting zombie smashed and don't have anything to heal it, you may need to abandon the POI. Also, the chance of getting a critical on the first hit from a zombie has either been reduced or eliminated. Now, there wasn't a total list of the criticals and conditions, but I've put what was covered on the screen for you. Medicine is next. The critical conditions each have their own medicine/treatment now. Vitamins, for example, treat a condition called weakness. There's a cast to treat a broken leg. There's also a broken arm now. The cast works for it. These treatments take time or have tears. Bleeding is still stopped by a bandage, but a sewing kit helps more, for example. Before we get into the actual healing, let's talk about food. Food no longer gives you food poisoning, so there's no more throwing up. There's simply a chance to take health damage. Food gives you the standard food, water, and health, but now there's a stamina bonus buff. Now, the buff shown was 7 minutes, and although it was mentioned that food is tiered, it wasn't clarified if the duration differs per food, so I don't know what to tell you there. We'll have to see how it works in game. What they did show is on the screen. Also, food and water bars have been added back to the HUD because food and water have become an actual thing that you need to keep up with now, along with all your critical effects. And Mad Mole stated that there might be a later slight refresh to the UI, but there won't be any major redesign of it. Candy is next. It's only found in vending machines, so you can't craft candy, and it's seemingly ridiculously cheap. These are basically buff pills. Each candy adds a type of buff, plus it gives you 5 food. Luckily, we got to see all of them, so I've got a table up for you. The buffs stack up to 3 buffs, mix and match. Food, candy, whatever. There's quite a bit of candy, some pretty powerful effects, and they last a decent time. A couple of interesting ones are the health bar, which not only boosts your health, but also gives you a plus 50 crit resistance and a plus 200 natural crit healing speed. And then there's the Skull Crusher, which gives you plus 50% melee damage. So these are going to be like power-ups before you go mine or fight or anything else. Perks have been consolidated and simplified. Again, remember that trend that I told you about. Many perks like Lockpicking, Animal Tracker, and Treasure Hunter, for example, had 5 levels that no one ever bought. Lockpicking, I haven't ever bought more than a single level, just wanted it to craft lockpicks, because as often as the things break, you can't rely on loot to find enough a lot of times. So these 5-level perks that felt really overexpensive and just drawn out over these 5 levels have been condensed down to either 3 or 4 levels, and their bonus is adjusted. Some other perks have been eliminated and spread out. Some perks like Treasure Hunter have reworked mechanics. For example, Treasure Hunter reduces the search radius for every X blocks you dig up. It makes the process quicker and gives you a loot bonus to the chest. So let's cover perks real quick. In Intelligence, Penetrator has been reduced to 4 ranks, while Lockpicking, Infiltrator, Animal Tracker, and Treasure Hunter have all been reduced to 3. In Strength, it's Sexy Rex and Heavy Armor down to 4. Fortitude drops Well Insulated, Living Off the Land, and Rule 1 Cardio down to 3. Also, Healing Factor has been nerfed, but it importantly gives you a boost to critical healing now, so it's still really important. The Agility tree sees Light Armor and Parkour down to 4, while Run and Gun and Flurry of Blows are both dropped to 3. Intelligence has seen some big changes. Yeah, Science is now completely gone, and worked into Advanced Engineering and some of the other perks where it made sense. While Daring Adventure, Charismatic Nature, and Physician all dropped to 4 ranks each. There are 3 new book collections. There's Bar Brawling, which should make Cage absolutely ecstatic. Really turns fist fighting into a pretty powerful build. Mad Mole noted that it's still really difficult to do like a totally unarmed build, especially with the special infected coming, but still, man, I'm ready to fight. Turrets become even more OP with armor-piercing turret ammo and new ammo called robotic turret shells. These allow the turret to use shotgun ammo for short-range destruction. You can switch between these 2 ammo types, so it's not just a one-way trip. As a note, the drone turret is not making experimental since it's still buggy, but Mad Mole said they would like to release it as a patch maybe after stable, but still definitely before A20. Stun batons get some love with the stun repulsor mod, which ragdolls zombies when the stun baton shocks, and then stun baton charging, which gives you a chance for your stun baton to instantly recharge. Weapons have been reworked into tiers. This was existing for some weapons already, but all of them have been expanded where there is a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 version of each weapon. Shotguns are a good example. Blunderbuss is your tier 1, double shotgun is your tier 2, and then auto shotgun is your tier 3. There's a tier 3 sniper rifle you'll see on the gameplay footage in the background, etc. Mods have been reworked some, and all weapons now have dedicated mod models to make them look better. There's also the Desert Vulture, a new tier 3 pistol. The Junk Turret got the drone as its tier 3 version, and a tier 1 version that melee attacks a single zombie at a time. It's weaker than the Junk Turret, but knocks the zombie down as an assist, not a direct killer. The auto shotgun has been covered to death, but just in case, this is the tier 3 version of the weapon. It's got a large magazine, does plenty of damage, and can take a trigger group to make it full auto, and is basically a street sweeper. There are also breaching rounds, and Mad Mole stated that you can single shot a small gun safe with a breaching round with the auto shotgun. Melee has seen some love also. You can see the battle axe being used here, destroying some zombies. The club got a tier 3 club with the steel club, straight out of Mad Max. It's got spike attachments, a chain, and barbed wire. There's a new bone knife model, a new survival knife model, and also a new machete model. These all have new animations for attacking and look pretty sweet. The stone and iron sledgehammer have also been redone, including their animations. No mention was made about hitboxes or anything like that, but remember the programmers are coming in one of the next dev streams, so we may find out then. Anything done in A18 like the spears and the steel sledge were already done and haven't been updated. They might get a PBR pass before gold, but that's probably about it. The pistol and magnum have also been reworked visually, giving them a much more pleasing appearance, and that pretty much wraps it up for weapons. On to tools. So those of us into harvesting, building, and crafting, yeah buddy, got two gifts. The ratchet and the impact wrench, which add a tier 2 and tier 3 to the wrench. But look at the impact wrench go. Once you get perks out of this and stack your consumables, you should be able to tear through cars. The wrench also has a new model. It's looking quite professional. The model and animation guys have been hard at work, obviously. Picks have also been remodeled, which you can see on the screen. Remember that you can buff your stamina with both food and candy, so you might be seeing more of these. In the same vein, the shovels have also been redone, providing you with more mining goodness. Finally, the axes have been redone to round out our tools. The biggest change here is that the stone axe animation has been speeded up to help with early game resource gathering, and also to give the early game a sense of quote-unquote urgency as per Mad Mole. Now, lighting was talked about in DevStream 2 and how brightness doesn't blow out your gamma anymore, but we finally get to see this in-game, and here's the example. With Latham fighting some zombies out in the forest at night, and we're not having any problem seeing this combat. It doesn't look completely blown out in red. Such a boon for streamers and content creators, and just even regular players to be able to actually see at night. The new crawler model was shown off also. We talked about this in the last recap. It's been reworked and given its own model. We finally get to see it. The new crawler model was also shown off. It was talked about in our last recap. The model has been reworked. It's been given its own dedicated model, and here we finally get to see it. It will get its own zombie sounds later on. And zombie sound is going to be redone, just not in A19. There are no plans to include ambient sound occlusion due to the performance overhead that it would add to the game. The next dev streams are Monday the 22nd and Tuesday the 23rd. Again, they will be hosted by Latham. On Monday the 22nd, the level designers and programmers will be there covering level design, POIs, the new breakout system, new falling system, new AI, and more. On Tuesday the 22nd, they have added a playthrough. Latham, Joel, and Rick are just going to come on the stream and play through A19 and let us watch. As a side note, because of a lack of other ideas where to put it, several exploits have been fixed. Zombies falling off wedge tips or seeing them as a pathable block, and slippery slopes were specifically mentioned, and I am sure we will see a number of other exploit fixes such as floating bases and other things addressed. Monday will be the night for that, with the programmers who are also covering the AI changes. So yeah, zombie AI changes confirmed. We just don't know the extent of the changes. Now, there were a ton of small questions covered at the end of the stream, but if I covered them, this would be just as long as the actual stream. So, want all the details, the links to the original videos are down below in the table of contents. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and I will be back for both DevStream 5 and DevStream 6 with recaps, so I hope to see you there, or maybe right there in the chat room. So have a good day, stay safe, and I will see you on the other side.